A couple of months ago, I was going through my husband's phone and saw that he was texting his ex-girlfriend. I was hurt and kept it to myself. I kept it in until one night we were arguing and I burst it out. He told me that he didn't love me as much as her and he would pick her over me any day. If his ex wasn't Mary and I wasn't the mother of his 3 kids, he would have left me a long time ago. I was so deeply hurt. He said he hated me and don't even love me anymore. He wish I was dead and wish he can leave me, but the kids are the only reason why he is still with me. I am not perfect, but I try my best to make his life easier. I cook, clean and go to school. I wake up every morning to pack him lunch for work. I went through thin and thick with him. And to compare me to his ex after years of building up our marriage and being faithful to him, he compares me to his ex. I slept in the living room that night and was crying myself to sleep. The next day I packed up my stuff and went to my sister's house. I couldn't go home because my parents were traditional and would have forced me to go back to my husband. My sister kind of understood my situation and took me in. The same day when my husband noticed that I left with the kids, he came for us and I refused to go with him. I told him to remember what he said and that we can share custody of the kids. We argued on my sister's porch until my sister came out and forced him to go home. The next day my parents called me to their house and all the in-laws, uncles, and my husband was there. They told me to go back and they will try to make their son change. But the elders was also blaming me too. I agree with them that it was sort of my fault, but what he said to me hurted so bad. They keep trying to convince me to go back, but I keep saying I would think about it. Then my husband was crying to me saying that he misses me and want me back. He didn't mean those things and that he was sorry. He wouldn't talk to his ex anymore, he promised me. Thinking of my kids and what we built together, I went back. After a couple of weeks being back, he started being an ass again. Started comparing me again and saying the same things he said to me. Thinking maybe he was just mad and saying those stuff, I shrugged them off. Until one day one of my boys' school called for me to go pick up my boy because he was sick. Being at school I couldn't because I had class, but my husband had the day off that day, so I called my husband's cell phone and a girl picked up. I checked to see if I called the right number and sure enough it was. I asked, "Who is this?" And she said, "Jessica." My heart sunk and I was beginning to tear up. It was his ex that picked up. I lied that I was my husband's sister and asked where they were. She said they were at a faux restaurant and that he was in the bathroom. And I hanged up. I hanged up and decided to go pick up my son from school. I drove past the faux restaurant that she said, and there he was holding the door for her to go into his car. When he got home I was mad and confronted him. My son was in the room sleeping. We argued, then again he compared me to his ex. I told him that I had enough and I went packing. He followed me and took my keys. He then grabbed my bag of clothes that I already packed and threw it across the room. He pushed me and began beating me up. He kicked me and I was crying and screaming until my son came in and told him to stop. When my husband turned around to tell my son to shut up, I quickly grabbed my cell phone and called the police. When he saw that I called the police, he got my phone and threw my phone and began to hit me again until my son started crying. Then my husband turned to my son and shoved my son out of the room and continued to hit me. He told me that he wasn't going to let me leave and that I am his. I'm going to be his slave and wasn't going to put him through what he went through. Luckily, the police came before he came. They arrested him and I was out of the house. A week later the elders came again. Again my husband was crying. The elders blamed everything on me. That I wasn't a good wife and that I didn't give my husband what he wanted. They said I was wrong for calling the police instead of going to the elders for help. I ashamed my family and his family for calling the police. The elders said it was all right for my husband to talk to other girls, but just not marrying. Hurt by their words and saying I told them that no matter what I won't go back. Once a cheater, always a cheater. They kept trying to convince me to go back and try to make me look bad. My husband cried, and as bad as I feel, I didn't go back this time. The elder says that I will be a shame to the family if I won't go back and that I would get the name divorced lady, and that is not good. I was mad and was crying because no one was siding with me but my sisters. Even my parents tried to convince me to go back with him because I will shame our family. And I keep refusing until they got tired and went home. Am I wrong for not going back? My husband still tried to convince me to go back nowadays, but I refuse. Tell me, ladies, did I do the right thing? Would you have gone back or a shame to your family?